everybody, welcome back to another video on this channel. I don't know. I'm Alana. You may know me as time for another restaurant story girl. Sometimes I do other things though, and today is one of those days. I have a guest here today. You've seen her before. You've been asking for her.
Oh,
and I've kept her away because I'm bad at scheduling things. But this is Brenna. Yay!
Yay!
She's my sister. You can tell by how we look 0% alike.
More than 0% alike.
That was the joke. We look actually very similar. Comedy. We get it. We
sure
understand
do.
it.
That's us.
Here we are in a library. Look at that fun little background. I felt apt today to do like a cozy living room little setting because we're gonna do another round of Reddit stories. There is a thread on Reddit called Tales from Your Server where people just like kvetch about shit in the restaurant industry.
I love kvetching.
It's when I'm at my most powerful is when I'm lightly kvetching. Not complaining, because complaining often implies that you want a solution. Kvetching is just bitching. We love it. I think the biggest update is last time we did this, like almost a year ago, Brenna was a host and now Brenna's a server.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm really good at it, you guys.
Okay. So I have compiled a small list of 5 different, not like stories, some are questions, some are just like statements of varying degrees.
Okay.
That people have posted in this Reddit thread. So let's start. Our first one here is a question titled, "Is there a reason you seat people down at a table in the front of a restaurant?"
Oh my god.
What does this mean? Is the body.
There's a fucking table there. What is wrong with people?
My wife and I always seem to get sat down at a table very close to the entrance, usually right next to the door when we go out to eat. Doesn't matter if the restaurant is full or empty. Kind of makes us laugh that it always seems to happen, but are unsure why it does. Anyone have any insight? So before I read any of the comments, my first question is like, is this one restaurant or is this every restaurant? That's my first instinct here. There's little to no context at all. That's just the question.
My theory so far, if it is an every restaurant kind of thing, is that because that's the thing people like famously bitch at you about when you see them too close to the door. Oh my god, I'm freezing, I'm too close to the door. Do you have like a nice face? Like, do you look like someone that wouldn't complain? Because I can see why that might happen.
Yeah, so I think they specified that like, even if it's not busy, they seem to get sat there.
I don't know.
So there's like a common verdict in the comments.
Okay.
So this person says, "I can't speak for all restaurants, but I do feel comfortable speaking for the fancy brunch place I used to work at. We sat the first few tables near the door because they were also near the bank of windows. This had the effect of making the place look popular and desirable, even on traditionally slow days, thereby attracting more business that wasn't necessarily planning on eating at that restaurant that day." And there are several comments basically reiterating that, saying, yes, we stack the front so we look busy and thus look desirable.
That makes a lot of sense.
I gotta say, I picked this because I, as a host, have never once thought about this in any degree.
I know why we haven't thought about that is because where a restaurant is located, nobody's walking by.
It also doesn't take into account at all, like, server sections.
Also that's a big, I was gonna say that as well.
Like, our particular restaurant, there is like a front room, and then there is the bar, and then there is the back room. And there's usually a server.
Are all different sections.
And each one, so you seat someone here, and then someone in the back, and someone at the bar, and it rotates.
You can't put everyone in the back all at once, because that throws the whole thing off,
Yeah, so if you are theoretically, you know, if you're talking about the same restaurant, you get sat at the front at every single time. If you go at the same time every week, that just happens to be the time that the rotations happen. Or they know that, like, hosts know that people complain about that sort of thing, and if you've never complained about it, we're gonna keep putting it out.
I absolutely, if there was the same person came back regularly and never complained, I actually would assume that they like it, to be honest.
Yeah. But I gotta be honest, as a host, not once have I ever considered
the filling up. No,
literally,
it wouldn't work at our restaurant. But I can see how that would be a thing at other places.
Yeah. We rotate when it's very busy, but if it's quieter, we do tend to seat the front section to make it seem busy. Yeah, a lot of people saying that. Also, sometimes, yeah, if you're coming when it's slow, there are some sections that are just closed.
That's what I was about to say as well, yeah. Like, usually like you said, we have the front room and the back room. The back room, if you come, like, at the time when people are on lunch breaks and there's not as many people working, the back room is usually closed. It's only the front room's open, so.
Here's a comment that just says, "Are you old or appear to have mobility issues?"
Also that, I forgot. That's another reason.
Which, like, I don't mean to imply anything, but this sounds like an old person that posted this.
The fact that they aren't complaining makes me think they're not that old.
Whatever the oldest age it could be for you to have this thought, but also be posting on Reddit.
That's a really good point.
Some of these comments are funny. It's called confirmation bias. Maybe you walk in, when you just walk in and you figure that, oh my god, they're gonna put us in the front, and you just have a face.
Yeah.
You have a face that looks like you should be sitting next to the door.
Or maybe you like start walking towards the table that's in the front and they're like, oh, he wants to sit here.
Or you look like you smell bad and you need to be like near a window and near a stream of fresh air. Because you just look like you smell. It means the host didn't feel like walking. Yeah, that's actually it. If I were your host, that's actually the reason why. The point I want to make to this OP is that, like, it doesn't seem personal.
No.
Unless you are smelly.
I feel like a smelly person, though, I'd put in the corner.
That's true.
I wouldn't want everyone to walk by the smelly person right as they come in. I'd hide you away.
Yeah, it just simply matters whether or not they mean the same restaurant or every restaurant in the universe they go to.
That's an important detail that we're missing.
Maybe the wife is secretly asking to sit in the front. Maybe the conspiracy goes deeper than you think.
That could be.
All right, next one. I didn't really read this one. I only read the title and went, that's a fantastic one to follow.
Okay.
The question is, you ever get punched in the face by a customer?
No, can't say I have.
Same, I also have never been punched in the face. I don't think I've even really had a customer like lay their hands on me at all.
No.
I had one guy once who was like going around to everybody and giving them back rubs. So
I know the guy.
So I did.
Unless there's two, I know the guy.
I'm sure there's only one.
That guy, yeah. But he means well.
When he first went in for it, I was also just like not aware that he was behind me.
Oh,
and
that's
he like
upsetting.
Went in and I did like an elbow to the gut.
I genuinely don't think he knows that that's not an appropriate way to behave.
Yeah. Hold on, the dog is eating something. Stop it. No, he like touched me and I was like in the middle of something and I did an instinctual like, and I like kind of jabbed him in the gut.
Okay, so then he didn't do it.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, not offended by it. Hello.
Probably
hello. Yeah, he was like, sorry, I didn't give you any warning. And then I never received one
it's
again.
still weird, even if you give warning.
But that's the only really like hands that have been
That
on
is
me.
the exact person I thought of before you brought that up.
Amazing.
I was already thinking of that person because yeah, he's a touchy guy, but he means well.
So the tag here is, does he ever get punched in the face by a customer? Long. TLDR. The whole staff pretty much got assaulted over $1. Probably my most unprofessional moment ever. But story time, I already have a feeling this is made up.
Yeah, probably. But humor me.
I'm managing. We're coming close to closing time and the pace of the restaurant had slowed. Made sure everyone is okay, then pulled my kitchen supervisor out back for a quick smoke break and to go over a couple of things I needed done at closing. Now, in the time I was outside, here's what had happened. A woman came in to pick up her to-go order from the bar. She hands the bartender her money, and her change is an exact dollar back. He goes to hand her change to her, but she's on her cell with her back turned to him, not paying attention. On camera, you can see he has his hand extended for a period of time before another customer walks up and he puts her change on the counter in front of her and goes to tend to the other customer. So he just did a...
Right, she's not paying attention, I got other stuff to do, yeah.
The woman turns and sees that he has placed the dollar on the counter and proceeds to hang up. How kind of her. She then walks behind the bar and gets in my bartender's face and begins physically poking his forehead back, calling him disrespectful. Yeah, I think like a...
Oh, I don't care for that. Don't care for that at all.
For a physical demonstration. Calling him disrespectful for not placing her change in her hand, screaming, cussing, causing a scene. This is all within a literal minute. So she's not well.
No, clearly.
So I'm outside with the supervisor when another employee comes running out into panic saying, "You've got to come get this bitch."
That's me, I'm that employee.
Come get your man. I walk inside and an old girl is back on the appropriate, it's just the way it's written, old girl. I walk inside and old girl is back on the appropriate side of the bar now, still screaming and carrying on, and my bartender is yelling at her that he's calling the cops. I approach the woman and calmly tell her I'm going to have to ask her to please leave. To which she responded by punching me upside the jaw. My dumbass standing there asked, ma'am, did you just fucking punch me? To which the bitch punched me in the face again, this time breaking and knocking my glasses on the ground. I imagine the freeze frame like, yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got into this situation. So I guess I was pretty mad. My memory seems to have blanked on this next part, but apparently I just started swinging. So you're right that she shouldn't have punched you in the face, but what you can't do is black out from anger.
Right. And then become the aggressor.
What you can't do is that. I don't recall swinging whatsoever.
That's very alarming.
But the cameras don't lie. So, okay, man, I'm with you, but you can't.
Until I'm not.
You can't be a sociopath back, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hello? Hello? My memory comes back when I hear my name screamed and someone came up and restrained me from behind, pinning my arms to my side. Why was I restrained before her? Because I assume this is a man.
Yeah.
I just assume it's a man.
Well, also, when you say I started swinging, yeah, then you're the dangerous
When
one.
you're completely dissociating, that's like not good.
In a blind rage, yeah, that's a no.
Why was I restrained before her? I have no fucking clue. But she got 3 more cheap shots to my face, back to back, because of it. Meanwhile, I'm flailing my legs trying to kick the shit out of her. The kitchen is, at this point, making their way up front to try to separate everything. My kitchen supervisor sees me take 3 punches to the face with no way to defend myself and came in swinging hot. They are now in an all-out brawl and hair-pulling match on the ground, while all the guys are trying to pull them apart. One of the guys finally managed to drag and lock her out, but not before catching a punch to the eye. She starts pacing the front door, screaming about her to go order, which is still perfectly bagged on the ground. The guy grabs her to-go order, points at the bag, unlocks the door, and proceeds to literally kick her food out the door, covering the patio with her food, so she took off running. I'm finally released, and I realize there is a second girl. No idea if she was the girl's friend or what her association was, but she's being restrained by 2 guys and looks like she wants to fight too. I got in her face and cussed her out, saying she could get the fuck out too. I then proceed to announce for the whole restaurant to hear, I'm finishing my fucking cigarette, nobody fucking talk to me. I did go up and personally apologize to every table and give a discount. They were very much understanding and not seemingly offended by my actions, or they were scared of me.
Yeah.
Who knows? I have some thoughts on this.
I do as well.
I am looking at this and I'm not sure this is real.
That's where I was going. Also.
I'm not sure this is a real story. It could have been a real story up until everybody joined in on the fight. Because that's a sitcom.
That sounds fake.
I am having a hard time believing that everybody went in to like get like arms swinging.
Yeah.
Also, nobody called the cops.
Also that.
No one called the cops at all.
The restaurant full of people sat there watching and didn't call the cops, none of them.
Yeah, I find it extremely hard to believe. Well, so here's another thing. Again, we don't have context. Is it like a nice sit-down place? Mm-hmm. Or is it a dive bar? If this was to take place in, say, like our restaurant where it's like a $3 sign on Yelp, I don't believe it.
No, not at all.
I don't believe it.
No, not at all.
If it's a Chili's, if it's a Waffle House, maybe. So let me see if we can find some clarity in the comments. Sorry, my dog's tail just hit the camera. So are you bringing the camera footage to the cops? OP says, they already have the footage. She actually passed them fleeing the restaurant and she dropped her phone in the fight, so that was turned into them too.
Okay, so someone did call the cops.
Yes. I don't know if I believe that.
No,
so.
I don't really.
How convenient that she dropped her phone.
Yeah.
This person says, I would like to dine at your restaurant very much, please.
Dinner and a show.
Yeah, the next comment, dinner and a show. But seriously, I don't understand how people can act like that. I hope you called the cops on her bitch ass. This qualifies you to be the CEO of Waffle House. Cocaine is a hell of a drug. I don't know about that. Well, maybe. Anyone willing to jump to violence that quickly is not out of the realm of possibility. This person says, I work at a nightclub. I think every single one of us has been assaulted by a patron at one point or another. The story would fit right in with all the shit I've seen at my bar. And OP says, bars and nightclubs are a whole other level, and I have so much respect for the foolery y'all put up with. So this is not a bar.
So it's not a bar.
It's a normal daytime,
it's
normal
a restaurant.
operating hours restaurant. Oh, see, this person says, was there only the bartender's thought to call the police?
Yeah.
And OP says, I don't know. I didn't take a survey after. Well, you should have if you're the manager. Mm-hmm. You simply should have done that. Khaleesi, do not drink the wine. Don't stop.
It's not wine. That's the hard stuff.
Khaleesi. Hey, no. Down. That's not Down. You're the worst dog in the universe.
She's pretty bad at Down.
She's the opposite of Down.
She's very up.
So I didn't take a survey after to see who thought to call the police, even though you really should have as a manager. But I had a bartender who knows the street address of the place he works and who was on the phone already and the entire time giving a play-by-play. Oh yeah, because he completely blacked out. So that's all he had. Hi, silly. Okay. You need to get out of the way now. That was good enough for me. My fuck up was not knowing she had already physically touched an employee and proceeded to approach her to try to get her to leave. I had no idea if more than one person calls, the cops show up faster than 5 minutes.
I do remember a story. I wasn't there for this. You were there and it was on my day off and you told me about it. It was just threats. Nobody actually threw hands.
Was it the lady with the through the purse?
No, it's not that.
That was a different lady.
It's the guy. No, it was the guy.
Oh, the guy that chased him around the bar? Was it?
Yeah, so the guy that got cut off because he was too drunk and then told the bartender, like, I'm gonna kill you.
Yes. Yeah, that was just threats, but...
And then the manager was like, got involved and then he was threatening him and he was like, I'm off in 10 minutes.
That's right. That's right. So this was all like...
Catch me outside.
I didn't get to see it. I heard it secondhand. I think I was like around but busy doing something else. But yeah, it was a gentleman who was cut off and did like threaten the bartender, like, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna come around. And he like started to get around.
Yeah.
And the manager intercepted him and was like, you have to leave. And it escalated to, he was like, you want to fight? And the manager was like, yeah, I'm off in 10 minutes. You want to meet me in the parking lot? And the bartender was like, don't do that. No.
You stay here, honey.
And after that, yeah, he closed out and he left and no one met anybody.
Nobody touched anybody.
But I was like, the balls,
Yeah.
And honestly, manager probably would have done it.
No, he would have.
He would have lost, but he would have done it.
He would. That's true.
Any thoughts? Any final thoughts on this other than it probably didn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not buying it in general. Everybody needs therapy.
What it's giving is something happened where the lady maybe threw in one punch and then to get hits on Reddit, he embellished a little bit.
A lot.
It's giving one of my restaurant stories where the core of it is true.
Right.
But then I would perhaps not share...
creative license.
I wouldn't share the fact that I blacked out. I would maybe keep that part of myself. Yeah, we did just a quick tangent because... I think I've shared this on like lives before where we did have a lady who was not well. Like every so often you have like a Karen come in where you're like, this isn't funny. It's like a woman who was unwell.
Who needs help, yeah.
You can tell she was unwell. She came in wanting to audition to sing live music.
I know this story.
She said that she had called the owner and had an audition set up.
And we don't do live music,
no,
so that's not a thing.
We were like, that isn't happening.
We've never had that.
And she was getting increasingly irate because she just wanted to speak to the owner so she could do her audition, and she started singing right there. But she was also like kind of wearing pajamas, like clearly it wasn't like she didn't have all of her like faculties about her. But as we were saying, I'm sorry, like he's not here and like we're not gonna call him.
Yeah.
Like, come back another time.
You don't really have an audition.
Yeah, like if you coordinated that with him, you can reach out to him to coordinate what that is.
Right.
And she started saying like, you are like discriminating against me because you're not believing me. And she got like so upset that one of the other servers came and was like, ma'am, you gotta go. And she like threw her purse at her and called her a fucking bitch.
I don't know that part of the story.
Because then the server was like, you know what, never mind. I don't get paid to get shit thrown at me.
That's fair.
And so she walked away, and then our bartender, because, hands had sort of been thrown, came out and had to, like, kind of physically...
he handles things.
...push her out the door, because he was like, look, it's me or we call the cops.
Yeah.
And she was just, like, simply not thinking, you know? And so she went out there and, like, I think we locked the door because she was, like, trying to, like, rattle the door back open. And she was, like, walking across the street saying she was calling the cops. And I think she went to the Chili's across the street that you've heard so much about. Because we were, like, tracking her car. We were, like, watching to see if she was gonna go. I did witness that. The purse did not make contact with me. I was just an unfortunate standing 2 feet away. But... that is a story.
Yeah, sure is.
Anyway, I hope everybody in this story either gets the help that they need or
doesn't exist.
Yeah. or gets a pat on the back for telling a good story.
Yeah.
All right, next story. This is medium, even though it looks longer than the last one. My favorite attempted dine and dash moment ever. Love a good dine and dash moment. I don't have any really good dine and dash stories of my own.
I have kind of one. But so basically there was one time I was hosting and this guy was picking up a to-go order. He got there before the food was ready so he could like sit at the bar and have a drink. So it was like the bartender and I were kind of tag teaming it because I had taken the order and she was getting him drinks. And then he basically kind of tricked us. He had 2 drinks and I was charging him. He had the 1 drink, she told me, I put the drink on his check. And then he had another drink, and then like while she was turned around before she told me, he came up to me and he was like, okay, I'm closing out. And then he left.
Okay, so he kind of got you out of one.
He didn't dine and like he paid for everything else, but he did like manipulate us into not paying for one of the drinks. It hurt my pride a little, but
I'm sorry you got swindled.
yeah. I was mad after. His wife had called the order in. And so like after that he left and we figured out what happened. The bartender and I were both really mad. And the manager was like, oh, we can just like, maybe we can adjust the charge, but he paid cash.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. Yeah. That's what you do when you're pulling a scam. But his wife had called in the order, so I had the phone number and I was like, I'm gonna call her. And the manager was like, you cannot call her over a $12 drink. Yeah. You gotta relax.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna freaking call her.
The reality is like, I probably would have just like, if it's a drink or one little thing, sometimes I just like let that slide. If it were like a whole big thing,
right,
like an entree, that's okay. Everybody, my only real dine and dash story is like it was a lady who was a regular who I think came for a lunch and had some colleagues. She meant to pay cash, but she like they all legitimately walked out.
No, they forgot.
And I was like in the middle of a meltdown trying to figure out what happened. And then, so I went to run out to the parking lot to get her, and I like met her at the door, and she was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to leave.
Oh, no.
It was a YouTube video that I made recently. It was a restaurant story. I embellished that particular one a little bit. This was like a lady in her 50s or 60s who we like have seen often. Mm-hmm. So for her to dine and dash style would have been bold. Anyway, shall we read this person's story?
We shall.
This happened a long time ago, but I thought of it after reading some of the stories on here. One time I had a solo guy come in, order a steak, couple of drinks, couple of sides, ran up a nice big tab for himself, about $75. I cannot wait for the moment that I'm rich enough to just take myself out to like $100 dinners by myself.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
That's the goal. Seemed pleasant enough, and I figured he must have been pretty well off as he was effortlessly going through some of the most expensive stuff we had. When he was done, I brought the bill and left it. I ran into the kitchen, took care of another table, and came back. The guy was gone, and he left nothing, in all caps. I looked all over to see if he left cash somewhere, asked around to see if anyone saw the cash. Nothing, nowhere. I was furious, asked my manager if he could cover a dine and dash. He said, nope, it was on me. Side note, any employer that does that is super fucked up.
Yeah, that would never happen.
That does not happen at our workplace. I feel like that's like a thing I would ask in the interview and then I wouldn't.
Yeah, honestly, that's such a red flag. That's absurd.
Yeah, that's a personal pet peeve of mine. I think it's so shitty.
That's not okay. Yeah.
I went back to the table, cursing to myself and thinking about when I was going to quit that job. Good for you, bitch. Quit that job. Mm-hmm. Then, as I'm cleaning around the table, I find on the cushion of the booth a set of car keys. It dawned on me what I had, so I just slipped the keys in my pocket and went about my work. Finally, after several more minutes, Mr. Dine and Dash slyly comes back in and starts looking around the table he was at. I walk up to him and he has the deer in headlights look. I said, are you looking for something? And before he could answer, I followed up with, maybe this? And I handed him the bill. He sheepishly said, oh, have you seen my keys? And I said, I might have. I'm not sure. And gestured at the bill. He pulls out a $100 bill and hands it to me. I said, oh yeah, here are your keys. Then I just walked away, made no attempt to give him change. He seemed to understand that that was the end of the transaction. Mm-hmm. That's fucking metal, dude.
It is, yeah. It is.
I've been submitted a story where someone dined and dashed but left their phone. which is the same kind of thing. But
Yeah.
when it's the car keys, that's funny.
Because the phone you could come back the next day, and it'd be easier to get away with. The car keys,
You're trapped.
You ain't going anywhere.
You're Ubering, bro.
Yeah, call a ride.
Oh, here's a comment. If you're in the US, it's illegal for your employer to make you pay for a walkout.
Oh.
They can fire you over letting it happen, but they can't make you pay for it. Good to know.
That is good to know.
I've never heard a dine and dash story where it was like actually the server's fault.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be.
I'm not a security, I'm not a bouncer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna chase someone down. Like, that could be dangerous.
This is the kind of thing I get a lot in comments when people who are not from America watch, and they're like, why are you ever walking away? Like, why are you ever walking away with somebody's card? Why are you ever like allowing someone to just place money on the table and go? Like, why is that a thing that is allowed to happen? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Yeah. We like recently started using the little handheld things, so we don't have to take the credit cards away anymore, which is good because I hated doing that.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
But yeah, like just putting cash on the table, that is a liability. I understand. You're right, everybody who says that.
Yeah, it's super weird. Just like, people don't take it. We've never had it be taken.
I've had people ask me to make sketches about it, and I've always like put it off because I haven't seen it with my own eyes. So
Right.
I haven't like, I still have to find a way to make it like kind of believable, because like it would never occur to me to do that.
Right. And I think because there's people around, it'd be hard to, we're gonna walk up to another table and take, like, so the other,
hard to not be caught,
other customers are gonna see you.
Yeah, which like, I don't know, the bystander effect is very powerful.
Right, but you'd have to have the balls to do that and think
That's
that no one's
true.
gonna say anything, which is like a big if.
I don't like to talk to strangers, but I would say something if I saw somebody steal the cash off the table.
That's really sketchy.
Love it when dine and dashes fail so incredibly. When I was a hostess, I was warned by my manager that a table would likely dine and dash given what they had ordered and the vibe they were giving off. Sure as shit, when we weren't looking, they ducked out without paying. Here's the thing, they left a jacket at the table with a wallet in it and all their ID. When I showed the manager, he laughed so hard he was still crying when he called the cops.
Oh, we did have someone once. I never got the backstory on this. There was this table and the owner was there when he came in, and then like he went home for the day while the guy was still there and eating, and the owner had said hi to him. They clearly had met before. And when the owner left, he pulled like a few of us aside and he was like, just everybody, you gotta keep an eye on table 22. Just, I gotta go home, but everybody be careful with table 22. And he left. And then when table 22 was leaving, at one point he came up to me and another server, and he was like holding something in his hand, and he was like asking for the owner, like, oh, is he still here? We were like, no, sorry, he left. And he goes, oh, well then you gotta tell him, like, he'll be so proud. Look, I paid my bill. We were like,
What's the history?
cool! Good for you!
What's the history behind that?
And we're just like,
Congratulations
Okay.
on the one thing expected from you.
And then, you know, the next day we went to the owner, we were like, you have to tell us what is happening. And he was like, I'm not gonna talk about it.
Oh, there's tea. You have to assume that maybe it was a thing like my thing where
Right.
they just walked out on accident. Like, it seems like they had enough of a relationship where maybe the owner could like call him and be like,
Yeah, but
hey, you fucking left,
He
dude.
clearly didn't like him.
That's different.
Based
Okay.
on everything he said about him.
That's so spicy.
Keep an eye on table 22.
I know, I hate to say that just like, you get a vibe, because sometimes vibes can be like
Right.
method to discriminate against people. I've never seen anybody dine and dash that wasn't white though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That wasn't like a rich white person.
1,000%.
So that's just my experience personally. Rich people love to steal shit.
They do.
They just love to steal that shit.
They do.
All right, any final thoughts on the dine and dashing?
Yeah, I'm glad that doesn't really happen to us, knock on wood.
Yeah, if your employer ever wants you to cover the cost of
Yeah.
people dining and dashing,
That's illegal shit.
apparently.
Yeah, you ain't
so
doing that.
quit your job if that's the case.
And also, get yourself a lawyer.
You can quote me on that.
We learned it from Reddit, so it must be true.
I've done zero following up, but I have no choice but to believe it with every fiber of my being. It must be true. Next, guy warns me he doesn't believe in tipping? ? That's also how I feel. This is a conversation I cannot have again.
Right? I'm already tired.
This is a conversation I cannot have, and neither can Khaleesi. Neither can Khaleesi. Weird one here, but had a man in his family tell me that he doesn't believe in tipping. The whole interaction was really awkward. He basically said that he would be respectful and they aren't needy, just he doesn't believe in tipping. One of his kids asked me if I could do any tricks. Can you like juggle? Can you dance monkey? Will you dance for me for money?
That's where I would be transferring the table.
Not sure what that was about. But kind of demeaning. It seemed like he was raising his family to think they're better than servers. Oh, and the asshole was wearing a Rolex. Go figure. So I've never met one of these people out in the wild. I've never had a table like just tell me that or like leave it in a note after.
Yeah, they exist only on Facebook.
Yeah, I've had friends verbalize it to me a little bit and then we fight about it and then they go, okay, you're right. But I've never...
Do those friends tip 0?
No.
Or they just tip bad?
They tip 15%.
Yeah.
Because they think 20% is
too much.
Yeah. And then we fight about it and then I pay for dinner.
Yeah, and you tip.
And I tip
you
and
tip quite well.
We get over it. So usually on like the internet or in like the comment section, anytime I post any video about tipping, it comes with like a fake woke explanation where it'll be usually young men saying, I don't believe in tipping because it's the employer's job to tip, pay them like a living wage, and it's not my job, it is up to the employer. And we should all be fighting against oppressive, like we should all, if we all didn't tip, we could fight against the system. I fight for you. And that is what we call virtue signaling.
It sure is. And also being cheap. I call it those two things.
So it's to hide the fact that, yeah, you're a bad person and you're cheap, while maybe hoping that girls will still want to have sex with you.
Yeah.
For being like
a good person.
Woke and like anti-capitalist. When, of course, if you were to actually do that, not tipping doesn't like stick it to the man like you think it does.
It sticks it to the server.
Because the man doesn't actually care what you tip because that's money they don't get. Like the boss doesn't actually care. If everyone stops tipping, it actually doesn't matter. The only thing that would help is if all of the servers quit, which society, we need money. Not everybody can actually feasibly do that. So we love the revolution, but this particular revolution is not something that's going to happen instantly. So please tip.
Yeah, just tip.
Until we get to that point. Like,
you guys, they know. We don't have to tell. Like, they
I
know.
But it's an argument that makes me want to, like, hurl myself into the sun. Because, no, women don't want to have sex with you because you have that take. Sorry. Oopsie.
And I will also pipe in, because like a hot thing to talk about lately is tip fatigue. I briefly worked at Starbucks, like in the drive-thru and everything, and that's one of the things people are like, oh, and now they expect you to tip in the drive-thru because it asks you when you put your credit card in. No, these are places that always had a tip jar. This is not different. This is just because nobody has cash because it's 2024. Like, they're not saying we fucking hate you if you don't tip and we think that we deserve a tip for working in a drive-thru, okay? That's not what it is. There was always a tip jar. It's been there for like 30 years. This is not new. It's fine.
So here's my riff on that, because I will hate you if you don't tip, because working in the drive-thru is still working.
Also that. You should.
So
yeah.
You're right that I'm gonna, in my mind, shame you. I'm not gonna say it out loud though. And the unfortunate thing about capitalism is it is a free fucking country and you don't have to actually, like, so what would I think? If you, in your heart, deeply believe that that barista does not deserve your money.
Which they probably do.
Don't tip.
Yeah.
That's your prerogative.
But, like, just
it's also
own
my
it.
It's also my prerogative to be mad at you about that.
Yeah. Just own it.
I don't get to, like, deny you service because of that. I don't get to punch you in the face because of that. But I do get to feel in my heart that you should have tipped and maybe your reason for not tipping is not good.
When I worked at Starbucks, it was shortly before they introduced the credit card tipping thing, and people would say to us all the time, like, oh my god, I wish I could tip you, but I don't have any cash. That was a thing people would say all the time, and like, probably some of them were lying, but I'm sure some of them were telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, I really wish there was a way I could tip you, but you only can take cash tips and I don't have cash.
Yeah, it's not really my business at the end of the day why you're not tipping.
Right.
I get to have my feelings, you get to have your feelings. That's the beauty of living where we live in America or other places where free speech is allowed.
But all those places where people are like, oh, it's counter service and they expect you to tip, blah, blah, blah. Now you have to hit the little button when you put your credit card in. Those are places that always had a tip jar. This is not new.
Also, it's just 3 seconds of your life. You're gonna be okay.
Yes.
You spent longer complaining about it than the actual act took you.
You did.
And you know what? The reason why I'm presenting you with that screen is because my boss told me to. I'm not doing it because I secretly programmed it in to trick you into giving me your hard-earned tax dollars. You know? Like, that's not what I did. Wish I had that kind of power, frankly, but I don't. Your Starbucks barista does not have the power to do that.
They certainly did not implement the corporation-wide software.
Yes. Now, swinging back to this, the interesting thing is that there was no explanation. There was none of that.
Just a question?
The guy just said, I don't believe in tipping, just by the way. We're not high maintenance, so do what you gotta do, but we don't believe in tipping. Which is an interesting choice.
To say that at the beginning is bold.
Because I did peruse through the comments a little bit. This person that says, honestly, I'd have been happy. Now I don't even have to worry one little bit. That table now gets the barest minimum effort and I have zero stress if anything goes wrong with their order. I wish we could always know ahead of time, LOL. Which is a good point.
Yeah.
You know, thank you for telling me that, like, you don't give a shit.
That it doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
The outcome will be the same.
That's better than any of that weird bullshit at the end.
Yeah.
Where they, like, either, like, secretly write a note telling you why they deducted certain amounts, or, like, they take the game out of it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice.
I should get over this, but, like, sometimes I'll have a table and you're like, this is going really great. Like, we're totally bantering. And, like, I can tell that you're having a really good time and I feel like I'm doing a really good job. And then, like, you get kind of excited because you're like, oh, like, they're probably gonna tip me really high. And then if they, like, don't tip you very well, it, like, kind of hurts my feelings.
Yeah.
Like, a little bit. So I guess, yeah, knowing from the beginning would kind of take that aspect out of it. The getting excited and then the letdown wouldn't be a thing. Yeah.
Because you're like me, where, like, I know when I gave a 20% job.
Yeah.
I know when I gave a 15% job. I'm working on, like, I think the best vehicle for this is, like, a PowerPoint to show, like, the flow chart for when tipping low indicates that you're an asshole and when it doesn't. Because just because they don't tip great doesn't always mean they're an asshole. There are certain things, if they are of a certain age, when they're from the generation,
absolutely,
we're just passing along $5 meant that you did the best possible job and they were thrilled with what you did.
Yeah. Or, like, some people are bad at math.
Some people are bad at math.
There are genuinely times where I'm like, I know that this is because you're bad at math.
Yeah. Or like when teenagers come in and people hate
they just don't know.
Yeah, they don't. Why would they know?
They have no life experience.
Most of the time, if you get someone in a sit-down restaurant that's like 15 or 16, they've never been alone before. They don't know. Someone else paid the bill. They had no idea. They do separate checks because they don't know. And it's not super my job to teach them. So, you know, that's life.
Well, yeah, we're not going to say something. That would be weird.
Homecoming. People always lose their minds when it's like homecoming and huge groups of teenagers come in. And like, they don't know.
They just don't know. Yeah, it's nothing, they don't mean anything by it.
Yeah, if you're lucky, someone was given dad's credit card and they pay for the whole thing and life is okay, but not always, and that's life.
Yeah, I do remember once taking a reservation on the phone for like a big prom group and somebody's mom was making the reservation for them. And she was like, okay, so just so you know, I don't want you to worry. I've been explaining to them this is how you tip. We've been talking about this for days. So if it's not good, I want you to call me. And I was like, I'm never going to call you.
And it's also like, yeah, when they're 16.
Very nice of you.
Even if they don't tip, what's their bill going to be? $16?
Right.
It's fine.
Everybody had water and penne with butter. Yeah.
That's the other thing, where it's not just they don't know how. I'm like, you're probably not working.
Job.
Yeah. You probably don't know. What income do you have? Probably nothing. That's fine.
And if you do, you spend it all on your outfit.
Not everybody does have the money. I know some people get really militant about like, if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out, which is true, but usually, you know, there's an attitude difference. Yeah. Some people are sorry about it. That's fine. Some people are mean about it. That's not fine. So yeah, there's levels. Not everyone who tips.
There's explanations that I can accept.
Yes. My guess is this guy is not one of them.
Yeah.
I don't think he falls into any of those categories. Yeah, he's just setting a bad example for the kids. The, like, dance monkey dance, do you know any tricks?
Yeah, that's a hard no for me.
Thing is weird. That's like somebody was watching Disney Channel.
Yeah.
Someone was watching a show that they thought was, like, so funny. Like, that's a weird, that's not a real thing people do.
Yeah.
Why would someone like that go to a restaurant at all then? These people are so entitled and gross. Yeah, at that point, that's just just to see people like run around and serve you. It's just an incredibly weird thing to announce.
It is. Just order takeout.
It's a spectacularly weird thing to just say up front. Because what does he think is gonna happen?
Yeah.
That he's gonna get great service? I don't know what you're hoping for.
Just if you don't like, if a major aspect of the restaurant industry disgusts you, then just don't participate in it. Don't go.
Yeah, here we go. So someone said, why would someone like that go to a restaurant at all? And these people are so entitled and gross. OP said, it was so humiliating to serve them. When they paid, one of the kids handed me the check presenter and a handful of 31 cents to make even change. I swear some people treat us like dancing monkeys. Yeah, that's super annoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, then actually give you a handful of coins at the end of the day just to make it easier for them to walk out.
Sure.
31 cents is also an incredibly annoying amount of money.
It is. That's minimum 4 coins. You're gonna lose one.
The worst amount to give change in the universe is 49 cents.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse. 4 pennies? Who the fuck has that?
No, yeah.
Not me.
You're gonna drop it.
Anyway, this guy's a shithead and is bad at being a shithead. Mm-hmm. The way to be good at this is to not announce that and just not tip, and then you get great service for nothing.
Yeah.
You gotta be smart. If you're gonna be an asshole, be smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know. Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, my final thoughts are fuck this guy.
Like, it's just frankly not that hard.
And I don't know a single trick, not for you.
No.
No tricks for you, pal. All right, this is our last Tales from Your Server post today. I picked it to end on because it's like nice and open-ended and we can sort of speculate a little bit. Anyone have bad dreams about serving?
Oh.
I've had a few dreams where my serving job just went terrible the whole night. I would fill up a Coke and bring it to the table and it would be halfway full. I would run credit cards on wrong bills and ring in the wrong orders and have customers be angry with me the whole time. Those dreams felt like forever. Anyone else experience this? You will always hear from anybody that works in like food service that the server stress dreams continue long after you've left the industry.
Yeah.
Do you have any recurring serving dreams?
I don't have recurring ones. So I had, when I first started working at the restaurant, it was when I was also working at Starbucks, so I had 2 jobs. And I had a lot of dreams that were like a weird combination of the 2 jobs. Where like I'd be at Starbucks, but like my boss from the restaurant was there.
That sounds bad.
Yeah, right?
Those are 2 things.
That sounds
that boss should not be in that place.
Right, but he was like the Starbucks manager. And then I would have dreams where I was at the restaurant, but like my job was to make coffee drinks. And then I also had one the night before my very first food runner shift. I had this dream where I couldn't find the cheese grater. And I ran around the restaurant looking for the cheese grater for like hours, right? So like lunch service was like almost over and I still hadn't found the cheese grater and like I hadn't run a single plate.
Oh no.
Because all I had done was look for the cheese grater and not succeed. And why I didn't ask somebody, where's the cheese grater? And then the other thing that happens to me is like the last few months, I have really vivid dreams, but they're about like super mundane things. So it's just me going about my life. And I have like this problem, especially at the holidays, because I do a lot of like the planning for the holiday parties and stuff. I have this problem where I'll have a dream about a party, like a real party that I'm planning in real life, where I like talked to the person and like finalized a bunch of details. So then like I'll go about my life and I think that happened.
So look, I was just about to say that because I have before had like what I like almost like prophetic dreams or like dreams that felt so real where even if the details were different between the dream and like real life, you'll go and do the thing and it's like a crazy sense of deja vu.
Yeah.
Cause you're like in another life I already did this. My example of that, it's not about serving, but I remember being, I don't know, 15 or so years old. In the dream, I like woke up and went downstairs and my mom had bought specifically muffins from Costco and it was like a 16 pack and she was like, there are muffins, pick one. And I went and I cut like half of one muffin and half of another muffin and I ate those muffins. And then I woke up and I went downstairs and mom had bought muffins from Costco and I did the whole thing where I cut the half and I sat down and I was like, holy fuck. I extremely relate to that and it can like fuck you up.
Well, yeah, there was a few things where I would be like, oh, I already finalized these details for this party, but I didn't. That was a dream.
That's crazy.
There were things I would like not get done because I thought I had done them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it never turned into like a huge thing, but like it could have.
So I have two
I
things
only
to
know
share.
about the one.
Well, so I have one that's like just a standard dream that like is, you know, flexible. And then I have the one recurring one where it's the same plot over and over.
That's the one I know about.
So the just regular one will always be like I'm at the restaurant doing a shift. But suddenly it just, instead of taking me 30 seconds to put in an order, it takes me 8 minutes. And then when I have to walk from the table to the computer, it's like I'm walking through molasses, and it's that shot from like Psycho where I'm going forward but it's getting farther away and I can't like get to it. And so in the actual 15 minutes it takes for me to get from the table to the computer, I've gotten sat 3 more times.
Yeah.
And I just can't fucking get there. It's like I'm crawling through molasses. I can't get there. And then once I'm there, it's like, and that it's like the sloth in Zootopia.
Right.
It's flash 50-yard dash. That's me. Where it's just me at 25% speed. And it's like everyone is talking normal, but in my head it's like that. And that causes me a lot of anxiety. And I'm like doing that and upset about it. Because then I'm continuing to get sat and everyone's like, are you in the weeds? Do you need help? And I'm like, yes, I need help. And they go, okay. And they leave. And they don't help.
Cute.
And I'm spending my thought process being like, this table's gonna be so mad when they find out that I only just now put in their order, even though they gave it to me 45 minutes
It's
ago.
not that I forgot it. I'm doing it the whole
I just
time.
couldn't get there because stuff kept happening. And then I have the recurring one where it's like the same sequence of events with the same people present. It's like so unbelievably
that's kinda
specific.
creepy.
It's creepy. So the premise of it is that I'm a server, shocker, but I'm working specifically on a cruise ship. But the restaurant is like the expanse of like the entire ship. It's like all one floor of the ship, expansive. You cannot see the other side. And also it is like the dimmest fucking lighting and like red. Like there's no white light. It's like red lighting and everything. Like the floor is black. It's one of those, like there's like steps everywhere to get to like slightly different levels and you can't fucking see it. So what always happens is, you know, on cruise ships, like you're assigned the same server basically through the entire.
Yeah.
And I am assigned a section where it's one party of like 35 people. And it's like The Godfather. It's like a bunch of like Italian like mobsters basically. There's like kids running around. And the patriarch is this man who's at least 130 years old, like a decrepit man. He is always the first person I go to, and he's actually the only person I ever go to. He's the only guy I get to.
Never make it to anyone else.
Never make it to anybody else, because he orders a whiskey, and it's like, you know when you're still learning alcohol?
Oh yeah.
And they say the name, and you have no concept as
And you're
to
just like,
why, like, you don't know what it would look like written down. You only phonetically can hear.
And then you go to the bartender and you just sound it out and then he throws guesses at you until one sticks. Yeah.
So he will order a whiskey from me that just is like gibberish. Like I cannot understand what it is. I like have him repeat it a couple of times and he just repeats like, yeah, it's Frashafajita. And I'm like, awesome.
Coming right up.
So it'll be one of those places where there's like multiple bar stations set up. There's 3 of them in particular because each one is a specific employee that I work with.
Like the real ones at the real restaurants.
Yes, and so I will go to one that's all the fuck way over there, right? It's the farthest one, like in expanse, and I have to like navigate the darkness to get there to the bartender, and then I have to be like, I need the Hersham woman. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, I've never seen it before, the hush, and they're like, I don't know what that is, and I don't think we have that. You need to go back to him and either figure out what it was or get him to order a different whiskey. So I have to go all the fucking way back, go back to this man who's like gonna drop any minute. And I say, I'm sorry, sir, we don't have Is there another whiskey I can get you? And he orders a different stream of nonsense. And this is what we do with me going to a different bartender until I wake up. I can tell it to you in such detail because it repeats so often. And that's it. That's the dream that I have. Let me see what other people's dreams are. Yeah, this person says, I haven't waited tables in over 20 years and I still get them. I'm not even joking. Oof, another reason why I smoke before going to bed. Can't have server nightmares if weed is suppressing my REM sleep. Honestly, I feel like that's when I have the most active dreams, or when I'm not quite all the way asleep. That's when I remember them the most.
That's when the scary shit happens.
This is good. Yep, out of the business forever. Always in the weeds, wearing nothing but an apron.
It's pretty bad.
I haven't been a server for 12 years. Was one for about 7. The frequency's gone down, but I still get a new one at least every couple weeks. Newish one is where I'm scheduled back at my old restaurant and show, but I don't know my section or table numbers or anything. I've had that one too.
I have had that too, yeah.
Yeah, wait mares is what we've always called them. 12 years out of the game, still dreaming about endless humming and hawing drink orders and not knowing where my section is.
Khaleesi.
Hey, give me that. That's fine. That's good enough.
It counts.
All right, well, my camera's about to die.
Oh, cute.
So that feels like a really good place to end it.
I think it does.
Any final thoughts on anything?
You know, it's been good.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Tip your servers.
Yeah. Do that.
Or if you're really not going to,
just don't go.
Don't go. Or if you really want to commit to being an asshole, don't tell them that you're not going to tip. Be a good asshole if you're going to do it.
Be a sneaky asshole.
Yeah, commit to your fucking craft. I shouldn't have to tell you how to be a better asshole. You should already know. Don't dine and dash.
No,
pay your bills.
Don't do that.
Stay safe out there. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, man.
Comment down below.
Lovely to be here.
It's not to talk over you. I apologize for doing that.
How fucking dare you?
Comment below if you would like to see Brenna show up for another video, whether it is for Reddit stories or reacting to something else or whatever. Let us know. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss any of the cool, fun stuff that's coming. Get out of here! Bye!